Good afternoon everybody, it's Stuart here from Dougie Bird's Tackle World and we're here doing the fishing report for the 7th and 8th of May. As you can see, I'm all by myself today. Dougie has run away and left me in charge. But anyway, okay, we'll start offshore as we always do. So the last couple of days has actually been really good weather. There's been a lot of boats heading out. The fishing has been pretty good, but it has been an afternoon bite. So if you're going out of a morning, fishing that morning session, you might not be catching a lot of fish, generally better quality of the morning, but it's been a really good bite of a early afternoon. Of course, just keep an eye out on the solar lunar charts and you'll find that bite time, and try to fish around it if the weather's permitting, and you will notice a difference. Dougie actually went fishing out here yesterday, fished the 50 fathom line, caught lots of pearlies, some good ones around 40 plus centimetre size, up to like 50, 55 centimetres, good eating size, and then it was a slow bite on the pearlies yesterday, but it was before that bite time, so then Doug's very strict on the bite time, but then he went out a bit further and got stuck into the flame snapper out around 200 to 230 metres, up off Point Lookout, and the current wasn't too bad. It was under 2 knots, so around 1.6 knots. Whereas the inside, so around that 100 metres at the moment, there is a bit of current around, so it's around 2 knots. So you will have to use a bit bigger sinker or just a bit larger jig just to get down there and work that bottom section where those pearlies, of course, live. Lots of snapper getting caught around the 36s as well. They've been pretty good size, and I caught on jig and soft plastics or little micro jigs, such as the little cast ones have still been working really good. Just remember, a general rule with micro jigging is 1 gram per metre. So if you're going to fish around the 50 fathom line, it's around about 90 metres, so you use about a 90 or 100 gram jig. It's under good conditions. You might have to work up a little bit in your jig size just to get down there if you're battling a bit of current or wind. And in the closer stuff, like those little metal jigs with the dressed hook on the top, just a treble down the bottom, they've still been smacking the snapper on them as well. Jigs are a good thing to use. You catch a variety of fish. Snapper eating pearlies love them, and you still get your parrot and stuff like tuskies, that type of thing on them as well, and the odd mackerel. Mackerel seem to eat them on the sink more than anything but, so that's a bit of a shame. But you can use like a little bit of wire bite trace if you're going to fish around the 24 fathom line, and as there's still been a lot of mackerel around that area. And if you'd want to kind of target the mackerel, tomorrow should be pretty good weather. Unfortunately, we do have bad weather coming on Sunday, and it's going to last for around about a week again. 20, 25 knot southerlies, just for something different. But tomorrow morning looks really good at this stage. And of course, the strata hard bodies have been going really good this week again. They're probably the pick 3 colours. The redheads actually caught a few fish this week, and by our reports, and trolling them a long way back. So you want to troll them back around 50 to 60 metres behind the back of the boat. Trolling on braid is preferable, as your lures dive a lot deeper and they swim a lot harder, and the mackerel have been sitting deeper. If you do have a downrigger, trolling liveys have been a really good option as well. We had a lot of customers in today that caught a lot of mackerel in the last 2 days, Spanish. Not so many spotties, but more Spanish, and anywhere from the 18s to the 24 fathom line. And they just use a little livey rig. So that's just a single hook up there for you, pin it through the nose, and then just a treble for pinning around that tail area. And just a small swivel, you just tie it off, run it off your downrigger, or you can run a series of barrel sinkers on your line to get that sink, get your bait down that depth, and that's been working quite well as well. Just yakkers or slimies, whatever you catch in the area, put them straight down as liveys, and there's been a lot of good fish getting caught that way as well. As we keep moving in, so that's around the diamond reef, so the 24 fathoms, there's been a lot of good snapper there, caught there as well, and in around the 18s as well. So early morning is better bite for them. You always get a good snapper bite on the first sun up. And dressing your hooks, guys, it's one of those things not a lot of people do. More and more people are doing it, but you can use these little, we've got some of these little Williamson skirts as Dougie said last week, we've got a lot of good skirts coming, but this is what we've got at the moment. We've been working dynamite. Either colour, I like the natural ones a little bit better. And you just rig them like so. So we've got a couple of 5/0 hooks there, a bit of 30-pound fluorocarbon, and that nice little skirt just pops over that front hook, and you just put your half pilly or whole pilly on that rig, and just put a sinker straight onto the bait and just Albright it straight to your main line, so you don't run a bulky swivel or anything like that, and just float that down. And just remember, the bigger fish are higher in the water column, so you don't want to use a massive sinker and just rock it straight past all those good fish and catch the little red rock cod stuff. So yeah, float it down, light line. The guys that have been doing really well have been using as low as say 12 or 16 pound leader. It does make a massive difference, but we actually tie these ones, so these are available to purchase in the shop. These are just on 30-pound fluorocarbon, and it's still light enough to get a lot of good bites. So it's not too heavy, it's not too light, it's just right. So moving in a bit closer now. So around the seaway, there's been a lot of bait around the seaway on that run-in tide. We've got a low tide quite early in the morning, so it's worth a go chasing quite a few dewies and stuff like that, and jacks on the north wall. Live baits are better, and you want to fish them just on a couple of snelled, say 7/0 octopus style hooks, and just quite a large ball sinker above it, so you're fishing very vertical, because if it's way drifting out the back, you do get a lot of snags, so you want to kind of stay over the top of your bait. And then when you hook that dewey, you can get it straight up away from the sharks. Sharks have been a massive problem, and you're a chance of landing quite a good fish. Live pike's been working really well. Bigger soft plastics, like around that 7-inch range, have been working quite well as well. And vibes, quite the large vibes, so the 150mm vibes that weigh around 50 grams. Still lots of dart around. I've got to slip that in. Doug would never let me hear the end of it if I didn't mention my beloved dart. But you can spin in little metals have been really good as well. Quite a few Taylor, Trevally and dart alike. That's just a little 11 grammer. So anything around that, say 5 to 20 grams, because most of that bait in that whitewash at the moment is quite small. So you want to match that size of the bait. Moving around, there's been a lot of flatties like around that kind of where I call it the U-turn pipe, but that black U pipe on Stratty around to the timber at the very end. There's been a lot of flatties along that edge, both in the deeper stuff and up on top. And throwing little plastics and little vibes have been working really well. I do prefer the last half of the run in and the first half of the run out when that water's a bit higher and it's a little bit cleaner around that area. But they've been absolutely demolishing the prawn plastics. So the little power bait shrimps in Houdini. Houdini is a very good colour. Don't know what it is, but it just works. And the little easy shrimp in the Z-Man. We've got the whole range of colours in both of these lures. And just on about a 1/4 ounce jig head, throw it out, let it hit the bottom and just work it up from there. A couple of hops, let it hit the bottom back again. And in the terms of the vibes, very much the same action. You want to throw it out, hit the bottom. Unfortunately, you do get a few hung up, but to catch a flatty, you got to be on the bottom or very close to it. And a little mullet and that little bright colour. Bright colour when the water's a little bit dirtier, so maybe on that run out tide, and the nice mullet clean in that clean water. And there's also been a lot of brim around that area on those coffee rock reefs in that middle section. Been a few little squire snapper and been a few queenies and stuff busting up around the area as well. And if you're going to fish that deeper water, try vibe in it. So that's a little Eco Gear ZX blade or a vibe. They do come with the little assist hook, so they look very prawny. And just bouncing them off the bottom, you're always bound to hook up something, and they catch absolutely everything. So anything from a whiting to a flatty to a trevally to you name it, they eat it, because everything eats a prawn. Moving up around Crab Island area, there has been a fair few flatties around that area as well. Still a lot of good whiting as well around the sandbanks. Generally that first push of the incoming tide, they do feed a bit better. So try the back of wave break around crab, all of those areas closer to the seaway have been providing a bit better. Up around Sovereign, there's been a lot of good bream and trevally and stuff around those pontoons on the outside, and around that little reefy section in between Sovereign and Ephraim. There's been some good catches of little tuskies and stuff like that around that area as well. Around the Aldershot area, there is that houseboat wreck, so it's near the red marker about halfway along. There's been some good dewies, like school-sized dew, just on the small plastics and the little vibes again. Around that area, they've been quite good, and lots of little big-eyed trevally and stuff like that too, medium size. And then up the pin end, flatty fishing up there has been really good as well. So along the front of Duck Creek, along the deep section, like the southern tip of North Stratty, along those timbers there with the bigger size soft plastics, so kind of 3.5, 4 inch upwards, on the bottom with about a ½ ounce head. The tides aren't massive this weekend, so you might be able to get away a little bit lighter. But a lot of flatties around that area. Been some good tailor caught in the on the edges, like in that white water, just spinning the little metals again. And even up to that type of size, that's a 50 grammer. If you park the boat up in one of the lagoons up the tip of South Stratty, walk over and just spin the gutters with the heavier metals, you'll definitely catch some tailor, and they've been good size early. So they're up around that 45 plus centimetre size. And same if you want to float a pilly or fish a pilly in the surf, always a good chance of a tailor as well. And there's been some good whiting and bream and stuff like that in the surf as well. So that's all the surf along Stratty. Down like a Phillip Park, there's quite a good gutter out the front there, so there's been a lot of good whiting in the surf there, and so many beach worms. So if you're a bit handy, you can pull your own beach worms while you've got a rod out catching a few whiting and bream and stuff like that. A few good flatties in the surf as well. Or we do have the cured beach worms if you want a bit of just to be ready, have them in the freezer ready to go at home. But then lagoons up the pin, back up the pin, I know that was a bit backwards and forwards, but back up the pin, the lagoons have had a lot of good whiting in them as well. Just that first push of the run-in tide, they all kind of forage in that shallower water. So just use unweighted yabbies just on a long chain hook, about a size 4. And you just want to cast them out and give them plenty of line. And when that line takes off, you've got a fish, and you just click it over and wind it, and you're on. While we're up the pin end, there's been a lot of good crabs as well. Look, still lots of muddies around. Not in that real deep water, but they're not up in the creeks yet. They're in that intermediate water. With all the rain that's predicted over the weekend, they might be flushed out again. So I'd probably have the pots just in deeper water, just waiting. And of course, there's still a few prawns around up there as well. So up around the Southern Bay Islands, so out the front of Redland Bay, Coochie Mudlow, which is a bit further than Redland Bay, and around Lamb and Russell Island, there's been a lot of banana prawns. They're all big this year, guys, so they're like 6 inch plus, and there've been a lot of them. We did go on Monday, but it was absolutely horrible conditions, and Dougie got he got about 4 kilo. They didn't pop up like they did the day before, but since then we've heard some good reports of the prawns being on up there again. I won't mention how many I caught, but I left early, so it wasn't that many. If you want to get away from this wind, the dam's always a good option, so out around Hinds, freshwater. The bass have been biting quite well. Still a few getting caught on surface early mornings, and just I like the darker surface lures, so that's a little black one on top, little Jackson risk bait, and the one underneath's like a bit of a prawn pattern. So I use a prawny type pattern when that sun comes up a little bit, and you just want that more natural approach. And if you didn't want to do that and you want to cast hard bodies or troll, the little Daiwa in-feet spikes, they've been working really well, just twitching around the edges of the timber and the edges of the grass. And if you want to troll with the kids, nice and easy, just troll along the outside of the timber with the Arashi minnows. They go very deep, and they're easy. The kids can just watch the rod just ticking away, and when it stops, you've either got a fish that's when it bends over a bit more, or you've got weed. So get them winded in and take the weed off, put it back out. Bit of a different thing as well that's been working all right are the little spy baits, or spin baits. So it's a slow sinking. They actually sink horizontal, so flat. And they've got a little blade on the front and the back, and just buzz it around the edges of those grass banks. And there's been a lot of toga, Saratoga, and good sized bass getting caught on the little spy baits. But I think that pretty much sums up our fishing report. Bit of exciting stuff. We just got a really big dial order, so we've got some of the new reels in. We've got a lot of the new lures, so like they're the new current masters. So anyone's heading up barra fishing should definitely have one of these in their box. I'd probably throw it at a flatty as well, like along a deeper drop off. And of course, we've got lots of the little spikes in as well. So great flatty or a bass lure, casting or trolling. They both work very well. And the other thing, guys, is I don't think Dougie's really mentioned it, but we are one of the newest stockists on the Gold Coast for Yeti. We've had it a little bit. We've got most of the drinkware in stock. We do have a big order come in hopefully next week with some eskies, and of course anyone that's a Yeti fan would know there is a seasonal colour release on the 12th, which is next Thursday. It's a yellow colour, very unique if you want your stuff to stand out and no one to steal it, because it's all limited numbers. So we will have stock in that. And yeah, so hopefully this weekend, get out tomorrow, guys, if you can. The weather's going to be the best over the weekend. Sunday blows up. Later in the week's a bit of a write-off, but everyone will be back at work by then. So get out there tomorrow, give it a crack, and enjoy. We'll see you down the shop. Thanks.